There are stretches of highway in the American Midwest that feel like forgotten places. Roads where towns used to be, where gas stations closed decades ago, where the silence seems thicker than the darkness itself. Highway 46 is one of those places. A long, flat road cutting straight through miles of empty land, with nothing but fences, dead fields, and broken billboards to remind you that people once lived there. I never planned to take that road. It was supposed to be a shortcut, something my GPS randomly suggested when traffic got heavy on the interstate. I didn't think twice. It was late, I was tired, and I just wanted to get home after a long week of work. I had no idea that decision would lead me into the most terrifying night of my life. It was around 11:45 p.m. when I first turned on to Highway 46. The moment I did, I felt the difference. No streetlights, no other cars, no distant glow of towns on the horizon, just darkness. The kind of darkness that makes the edges of your headlights feel small. Even the sky looked darker there, like clouds were swallowing the moon. For the first few miles, I kept telling myself it was fine, just a quiet back road. But the feeling in my stomach wouldn't leave. It was a steady pressure, like something was wrong, even if I couldn't explain what. About 15 minutes in, I saw something on the right shoulder of the road. At first, I thought it was an animal, maybe a deer, maybe a stray dog. But as I got closer, I realized it wasn't moving. It was just standing, completely still. And then as my headlight swept over it, I realized it wasn't an animal at all. It was a man. He was facing the road, but not looking at me. He was positioned at this strange angle, like his body was slightly turned away, head down, arms hanging at his sides. He wore dark clothes, and his posture was unnatural, as if he had been standing there for a very long time. When my car passed him, every hair on my body stood up. I felt something like a cold wave run across my skin. I checked my mirrors to see if he turned to watch me, but I couldn't tell. It looked like he hadn't moved at all. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was a hitchhiker. Maybe his car broke down. Maybe he needed help. But something deep inside me refused to let me slow down. Something told me not to stop. 10 more minutes passed. Nothing but darkness and empty fields. And then I saw him again. But this time, he was on the left side of the road. Same posture, same angle, same stillness. My chest tightened. It didn't make sense. There were no cars, no intersecting roads, no signs of movement behind me. There was no way he could have gotten ahead of me on foot. But there he was, again. I drove past him faster this time. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel. My brain kept convincing me I was mistaken, that it was someone else or some kind of weird coincidence. But deep down, I knew it wasn't a coincidence. 15 minutes later, I saw him for the third time. This time, he was standing right at the edge of the road, facing me directly. I swear his head lifted a fraction of an inch as my car approached, like he was aware of me now, like he was waiting. I don't know how, but I knew with absolute certainty that if I stopped the car even for a second, something horrible would happen. My heartbeat was so loud, it felt like it filled the car. I turned up the radio just to drown it out, but the static was the only thing playing. No music, no stations, just scratching white noise that made me feel even more uneasy. As the minutes crawled by, the road seemed to stretch further, like it had no end. My GPS stopped updating. My phone lost signal entirely. My dashboard clock kept flashing the same time, 12:07 a.m. No matter how long I drove, the time didn't change. I don't know when I started crying. I didn't even realize it until tears dripped onto my shirt. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely control the wheel. Then, the most terrifying moment of the night happened. Up ahead, I saw headlights. My entire body relaxed with relief. Another car, A real, actual car. Proof I wasn't alone out there. The headlights grew closer, flooding the road with bright white light. But as the vehicle approached, something felt off. The lights were too bright, too high, almost like they were floating. When the car should have passed me on the opposite side of the road, the lights didn't move. They stayed directly in front of me, never shifting, never going to the side lanes. And then I realized there was no car behind the lights, just two brilliant beams hovering in the darkness. I slammed on the brakes, skidding to a stop. The lights remained still for a moment, and then they slowly faded into nothing, like they were never real. I sat there, frozen, unable to breathe. And then I heard it. A knock on the back window. Soft, slow, deliberate. I couldn't move. Every muscle in my body locked up. The knock came again, this time on the rear passenger window. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to see what was there. But some primal instinct forced me to glance through the mirror. And there he was, the man from the road, standing inches from my car. But something was wrong. His head was tilted at a sharp angle, too sharp to be natural. His eyes looked unfocused, like he wasn't seeing the car, like he was looking through it. His clothing was old, dirty, covered in dust, and his expression, it wasn't anger, it wasn't sadness, it was emptiness, a complete absence of anything human. I didn't think, I just hit the gas. Tires screeched, the car fishtailed, gravel spraying everywhere. I didn't look back, I just drove. For a long time, the road stayed empty. No signs, no towns, no turnoffs. Just the endless highway and the endless darkness. I kept waiting to see him again, kept waiting for something else to happen, but nothing did. And then, without warning, the GPS blinked back to life. My phone buzzed with notifications. The dash clock jumped from 12:07 a.m. to 1:54 p.m. And up ahead, lights appeared. Real lights, an intersection, a gas station, signs of life. When I finally pulled into the gas station, the attendant looked at me like he'd seen a ghost. He asked me if I was okay. He said I looked pale, shaken, like I had been through something terrible. I wanted to explain, but the words wouldn't come out. Later that week, I tried to look up Highway 46. I searched online for accidents, missing persons, strange sightings. It took hours, but eventually I found a small post on an old forum. Someone describing the same stretch of road, the same man, the same feeling of being watched, the same knocks on the window, and the same clock stuck at 12:07 a.m. I don't know who he is. I don't know how he appears in multiple places at once. I don't know what he wants or why he watches people who take that road. All I know is this. If your GPS ever tells you to take Highway 46, don't. Because something on that road is waiting. And once it notices you, it doesn't stop.